What's going on, partners? In today's video, we're going to be talking about machete men. If you recall, in our previous video, we heard Cindy Nunez, the sister of Francisco Nunez, who was found deceased in Lancaster, blame the sheriff's department in Francisco's murder, saying that the deputies are out there just killing people. And listen to what she had to say. Now, I encourage you for you to go back and listen to her whole speech. In my situation, it left me with more questions than answers, but here's a brief clip on what we're going to be breaking down today.
Another companion of Francisco that was arrested was brutally beaten. He requested medical attention and wasn't given the proper attention. He was taken to AV Medical Center, where while in the car was told by the deputy he didn't care about these body cameras and how he would go home and how he could go home that night if he only talked to them. Companion stated he was not interested in any get out of jail program offered by the deputy and was then asked if he knew about a machete man that was shot at a grocery store in Lancaster. Deputy proceeded with saying, "That one, my partner did that one here," as in taking initiation or credit for the man's death. No other gang has bothered us, nor have they harassed us at all. The only one that has done this to us since March 14th is the deputies. They are the only ones.
All right, we're going to stop it right there. So, as you heard, Companion was not interested in a get out of jail free card. You know why? Because Companion is comfortable in jail. He wants to be in jail. That is where he thrives at. That is just my opinion. I'm speaking out of contents here. Now, the conversation that they're having, it doesn't sound right. The deputy asked Companion if he knew about machete men. That doesn't sound like something I would do as a law enforcement officer, right? I'm not going to discuss other cases or other calls with someone in back of my unit. I'm worried about that investigation. I'm worried about what happened that night at that moment. That's probably what I'm going to be trying to talk to him about. Or I'm just going to be writing silent and letting him just talk or curse me out. So the deputy asking Companion if he knew about machete men does not make sense. What makes more sense in my experience is once people are in back of the unit, sometimes they want to bullshit with you, especially if it's someone that has history with law enforcement. And I get asked all kinds of dumb questions when people are in back of the unit, right? It sounds to me that this conversation went the opposite way. It sounds to me that Companion asked the deputy because he's being silly, "Hey, have you heard about machete men? Was that you?" I believe that the answer that the deputy would have gave would have been, "No, my partner went to that call. No, my partner took care of that call." And the way that she throws in the word gang, no other gang has bothered my family but the sheriff's department. Just insinuating that the sheriff's department is a gang organization. And they bring up machete men. So let's take a look at this video because, in her words, the sheriff's department is just out there murdering people, taking credit for the people that they go out there and murder. So let's take a look at this video and break it down.
It all began when 38-year-old Jonathan Foster smashed his way into a convenience store and goes straight for the clerk with his machete.
Oh,
She puts up
geez.
her hand to stop him, suffering a severe wound before escaping out the smashed door.
You got the machete in your hand. Do me a favor, man. Set it down. At this point, you're not in trouble. I just need you to set it down so we can talk.
A short time later, he's spotted outside a grocery store, still armed with his machete.
Come on, man. Don't do this.
Foster then pulls out a second machete from his jacket.
Set it down. Set it down, man.
The deputy repeats.
All right, the deputy's telling him to set it down. This dude takes out another machete and inches forward. At this point, this officer has the green light. What distance would you say that that gentleman is from the officer? He's pretty freaking close, man. This guy could close the distance with those machetes pretty quick. Luckily, the officer has his gun drawn and he's telling him to put it down. No shots have been fired. This shows a lot of restraint, a lot of courage. So props to this deputy.
Repeatedly tells him to drop his weapons and warns customers of the danger.
Hey, go away. Go away. Get away.
Foster finally puts one of the machetes back into his jacket as the tense standoff continues.
Yeah, I don't want him going in the store.
But then he begins to back into the store. The deputy, who had switched from his firearm to a taser, follows him in.
All right, he doesn't want him to go into the store. That's completely understandable. He switches over. He puts his lethal weapon away and takes out his taser in an effort to preserve life. Now, I am reviewing this behind a screen, sitting in a really comfortable chair. I would have not switching over. Look at the jacket that this gentleman is wearing. That is a big jacket, man. That taser is not going to go through. That is just something that you have to think about real time when you're dealing with these situations. And that's going to go out the window, to be honest with you. At this moment, I would just be thinking about those machetes in his hands. I'm not going to be thinking about his clothing, right? This is probably the same thing that this guy is thinking. He holsters his duty weapon, takes out a taser that is going to be ineffective due to the clothing, trying to preserve life. But at this moment, this deputy is putting himself in severe danger. What distance do you think that he is from this guy? The distance between the suspect and the deputy makes me really uncomfortable, especially because he only has his taser out. There is something called a Tuller drill. And we practice this because a suspect with a weapon can close a distance of more than 20 feet faster than a officer can pull out his service pistol and put rounds downrange. Here's a demonstration of the Tuller drill.
With a reactionary gap of about 1 foot or less, it's impossible for you to react quickly enough to even touch your holstered sidearm once the attack begins. At about 5 feet, the average officer can't even get his sidearm unholstered. Unless your sidearm or baton is already out, you'll have to rely on physical control at 5 feet or less.
Oh, he's a fucking ninja, John Wick right
At
there.
about 10 feet, you might get your sidearm out, but you probably won't get a shot off. A suspect with a knife can close 7 paces and deliver deadly force in less than 1 1/2 seconds. At about 15 feet, your chances get a little better if you're alert, anticipate danger, and are skilled with your equipment. Tests with hundreds of officers reveal that in most cases, a minimum reactionary gap of 21 feet is required to react and deliver at least 2 rounds and to have enough time to move out of the attacker's path.
That's the Tuller drill for you. Do you think that the suspect is 21 feet away from the deputy? And at this point, we're not even considering the length of the machete. That's an additional 2-3 feet that the suspect has to his advantage.
Come on. Stop. Stop.
Foster uses his machete to cut the wires.
Everybody. Stop. Everybody get down.
As other deputies fire foam rounds, his thick jacket blocking the less lethal efforts, deputies follow Foster deeper into the store.
Put your hands up. Everybody back up. Back up. Get out of there.
More taser rounds to no avail before Foster suddenly charges.
Starting to piss me off.
The 38-year-old was pronounced dead at the hospital.
All right, there you have it, man. Multiple less lethal attempts. And this guy would not give up. They waited till he rushed them to shoot. This shows restraint. This shows professionalism. This shows courage. Yet, Cindy Nunez wants to badmouth the sheriff's department? This is exceptional work. And you want to tell me that there are gang members? But your brother wasn't. Your brother that was hanging out with 5 other gentlemen behind an alley, your brother that has 8 kids, that's a father of 8, was not at home with his family. He was out there with the boys. And when the deputies rolled up, they all scattered. And you expect me to believe that your brother is an innocent civilian? But these deputies here that attempted to preserve life of a person that had already slashed a woman's arm, and the way that Cindy tells the story, you expect me to believe that the deputies are gunslingers, gang members that are just going out there and killing members of the community? Now, look, there is bad apples in every profession, and we just got to accept it. There's bad apples in every profession. There is going to be bad people. There are going to be good cops that make bad decisions. There's going to be bad cops that get hired and do criminal things till they get caught. But our hiring standards should be tough. Our training should be rigorous, and we should hold each other to a high standard. And if you are convicted of a crime and you're convicted of doing something wrong, you should be held accountable. And you should do jail time if it is needed. And you should be relinquished from that position. No one is denying that. But to say that the sheriff's department is just a gang organization and it's going out there and killing innocent members of the community, that's unjust. And that's just not right. And these commissions eat up these words and they pass legislation, they pass policies that affect how law enforcement do their jobs, that affect the safety of our communities. So I encourage you to monitor these commissions, listen to what's being discussed, and you speak up about it. Because the minority, the people that are systematically affected, they are the minority of our population. They do not represent the entire state of California. They do not represent the entire county or your entire city. Who represents the entire population? The people who are being affected by actual crimes, by actual gangs. And that is what we should be discussing. And that's what we should be telling these commissions. And that's why I'm motivated to make these videos. For now, that's all I got, partners. Remember to hold the line and let's hold them accountable.